the NHL draft is just a couple hours away. My neighbor is mowing their lawn, so apologies if that comes through, but we do have some CBJ news to get to before the draft kicks off. So referring to the draft this evening, the Blue Jackets have the 3rd overall pick. And while there is some intrigue as to who they will select, it will be one of Adam Fantilli, Leo Carlsson, or Will Smith. And that's just based off the general consensus and the messaging from the organization. They didn't even meet with Michkov before the draft. So it's going to be one of those 3 guys that I just mentioned. And whoever the Blue Jackets draft, I think it will be a highly anticipated prospect. It's just a matter of who they end up taking, and when that pick comes in, I'll be there to analyze it. But until then, we're just kind of in a wait and see. The current reporting is that if Anaheim does go with Adam Fantilli as they're expected to, kind of with the 2nd pick, then the Blue Jackets would prefer Will Smith over Leo Carlsson, but that is just kind of the dirt sheet saying that. And if Anaheim passes up on Adam Fantilli for a guy like Michkov or somebody else, then the Blue Jackets seem to be really high on Adam Fantilli themselves. We also got some details on the Mike Babcock contract. Pierre LeBrun reporting that his deal is going to be 2 years long, worth $4 million per year. I don't really care how much the head coach makes because he doesn't count against the salary cap, so I don't care what rich people spend their money on. If you want to spend $4 million on Mike Babcock as your head coach, then sure. What I'm mostly interested in here is the term, which is 2 years as is reported. And this is expected to be officially announced on July 1st when his contract with Toronto ends. And there were some soft reports initially that the term would be around 4 years, but I think this 2-year deal is friendlier to the scenario where this doesn't quite go as planned, where if Mike Babcock comes in and he's not able to connect with some of the younger guys on this team, and he's not able to get this team going, and whatever he tries, this doesn't click for whatever reason, then I guess 2 years wouldn't be a terribly long time to wait for him to go around, because this organization doesn't seem too keen on firing guys before their contract is over. Brad Larson was, I think, a special emergency situation. But 2 years is a very friendly term. It would actually be a little bit more interesting if Mike Babcock does very well his first year here, because the following season, do you really go in with him as a lame duck coach, or do you try to rush together an extension plan? So that'll be interesting. So if he does well this year, then I'm not sure how the organization is going to negotiate with Mike Babcock, who will probably want a decent raise from $4 million. The Blue Jackets schedule also didn't leak. It was officially released yesterday. The Blue Jackets creative team making a tremendous video about their schedule release. Pretty good. It reminds me of some of what the NFL teams are starting to do with their release, with their schedule release videos, and they've had a lot of funny jokes and gags, and it's animated, and it sounds kind of like sounds like one of those like cheesy monster truck commercials, which I find to be pretty hilarious. I'll drop a link to that video in the description of this one down below. The season starts October 12th at home against the Philadelphia Flyers and John Tortorella coming to Nationwide Arena, so there's that. And the season does start with a 4-game homestand. There's a mix of quality of opponents early in the year, where last season it was a pretty tough schedule early on, and the season before it was pretty easy. I feel like this year there's a bit of a mix of both, so I feel like early on in the year the Blue Jackets are going to get a sense of where they are. Are they just beating bad teams and losing to the good ones? Are they getting some wins that are surprising some people, or are they just gonna be worse than expected? Which is, I guess, is tough to do, because I'm guessing the expectations, at least from the national media, are going to be pretty low. There is a tough close to this schedule. There are 8 games the Blue Jackets play in April, only 2 of them against non-playoff teams, and one of them is Nashville. So Nashville is definitely going to try to be in the thick of things this year. And they do have a 5-game road trip before the All-Star break. And, every schedule will have some perceived spots where it's easier and some perceived spots where it's tougher. But, the best teams are ones who they're able to make do with a rough schedule in parts. And, that's what makes the hallmark of a good team. If the Blue Jackets come in and during one of their rougher stretches of the schedule, they pull off a few more wins than expected, then that shows maybe they're ready to take that next step into competing for a playoff spot. But if they have a rough stretch in their schedule and they just get ran over by some teams, then maybe this squad still needs a couple more years to cook in the oven. And if that's the case, we might be looking at Jarmo Kekalainen a little bit sideways. But that's pretty much it for the pre-draft wrap-up. Thank you all for watching. If you made it this far into the video, I will see you after the Jackets make their pick. Let me know in the comments what you think they're going to do and what they should do. I'll see you at the next one.